Thanks, everyone. I think this one's going to work. Is that working? 1, 2, 3. Hey, we have volume. Great. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the warm introduction. And it is amazing to be here in this incredible location with so many story journalists. Amazing previous session. And it's kind of personal for me as well. It's kind of a little bit poignant and quite emotional to be back here in India, because in many ways India shaped who I am as a storyteller. It shaped my understanding of media, and let's be frank, this is the most exciting media market on the planet. You see, the last time I was in India, this was me. I'm the guy on the left, by the way. I was working for the Australian Broadcasting Corporation as the South Asia correspondent, 3 years based in Delhi, covering India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, this whole part of the world. And I started out as a radio journalist, and I very quickly realised that there was a much greater opportunity with the new digital cameras that were coming off the line. Back then we didn't call them VJs. I was one of the first in Australia to be embracing the new digital cameras. There were no other foreign correspondents using this sort of technology at this time. And it just totally changed the game for me, because suddenly I could go anywhere with this camera and do anything and be very mobile. So I could go to Kargil for the incursion and cover that story as a one-man band. I spent a lot of time in Kashmir. I could get to Afghanistan with a small camera, be a very small target under the Taliban and get amazing access there. And it was like a light bulb moment for me when I understood that digital technology was going to transform storytelling and journalism in profound ways. So it's quite a serious and exciting time for me to be back here in India as the head of news for Twitter. And I want to talk about why I've gone on that journey and why I think Twitter is absolutely at the heart of the news proposition. I might need to know that, that's all good. Here in India and around the world. I mean, the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what the story is, whether it's Sean Spicer coming and going in the White House, whether it's Usain Bolt being superhuman, whether it's the latest from Aleppo and that extraordinary tragedy, or the world mourning in the wake of the Orlando shootings, Twitter is at the heart of news. Twitter is news. And that's why we're really excited about where we're going and the relationship we have with journalists and publishers. I want to start by talking about Rukmini Callimachi, who, if you don't know, is an extraordinary journalist with the New York Times covering the ISIS beat. And the thing about Rukmini, apart from that she's an extraordinary journalist, is the way that she's using Twitter to reach a new audience and to expand the way she tells stories. I want to look at a story that she filed in February of this year. Dateline, in fact, Hyderabad, looking at how ISIS remote controls attacks. She filed her story, but then she launched an extraordinary 20-plus tweet storm, going into the details of the story, citing the original documents, the interrogation transcripts, crediting NDTV and the guys here for first breaking the story, and revealing a whole lot of source material, driving that conversation in a unique way. And that's actually inspired one of her bosses, Dinbak Hay, to say, this is a new kind of journalistic writing. What she's doing on Twitter is journalism in a new era. It's easier to reach people. It's certainly journalistic, it's timely, and it follows all the rules. It's not opinion, it's journalism. Whoa. Stand by. We have a slight glitch here, but we will just let our friends attend to that. Okay, while you guys are doing that, can we just get the presentation back up, please, guys? Thank you. Also, Emily Tao from the Centre for Digital Journalism says that Twitter is the most important invention for journalism since the telephone, right? And Ben Smith from BuzzFeed, the editor-in-chief of BuzzFeed, says that Twitter is the beating heart of news, no less than the beating heart of news. And I want to walk you through what that means. Just hang on a tick, let's just see how we're going down here. How are we going, gents? You got it? Oh, we are. Not working? Ah. Beautiful. All good. Thanks. Just talk amongst yourselves. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, the beating heart of news. What does that mean for Twitter and for journalists? I want to walk you through an example from London with the Westminster attacks. The reality is you can discover, discuss, challenge and fact check on Twitter, unlike any other platform on the planet. So with the Westminster attacks, Sky News, they went to rolling coverage and they streamed their story on their rolling coverage via Periscope producer on Twitter. The discussion unfolds, obviously the reaction from around the world, and also then, of course, the obvious story, which is who are these attackers? With that, a whole lot of speculation, a whole lot of suggestions, a lot of them false, including posting of this character that someone had suggested was the attacker. It was nonsense. It was bashed. It was smacked down very quickly. It was challenged, including photos of people that were supposedly missing who weren't. Those challenges is active, it's live, it's public, it's conversational on Twitter. And the fact-checking as well. For example, here, when Piers Morgan posted this supposed sign from the subway saying effectively that it doesn't matter what the terrorists do, we will drink tea, we are British, and we will bat on. It was false, it was wrong. It was something that had been generated by a tube sign generator, and that was quickly revealed on Twitter. This is what we mean about discuss, challenge, reveal, fact check. Discover, discuss, challenge and fact check in a way that's live, public and conversational, unlike any other platform on the planet. And it's why we've come down to the essence of what Twitter is, which is, it's what's happening. And it's an easy thing to say that's a slogan, but it can't beat a true story, as we all know in journalism. And this is the nub of what we've done, what we are, and we've done a lot of work really trying to assess what the value proposition is at Twitter. Twitter is what's happening and what people are talking about. And as we've become more focused in that exercise and that endeavour, we can be focused as we work with publishers and journalists and partners to get as much as they can out of the platform. I want to talk about what that actually means. We think about our work in three ways: reach, revenue and innovation. How can we help and work with people to reach a wider audience, to generate revenue and to innovate? And I want to start with innovating because really this is all about an innovation mindset. We've gone through this 10-year mobile news revolution since the launch of the iPhone in 2007. And we all know those 10 years were at times challenging for news organisations as they thought about where it is that journalism sits. I think there's a lot more optimism now, but video is absolutely key to it. Video is at the heart of what the next 10 years look like. And I want to just talk you through a couple of quick stats. Cisco says that 80% of global internet traffic will be video by 2019, the year after next. That's only 18 months away. 80% is going to be video. The good news is the videos are more likely to be shared. In fact, 6 times more likely to be shared than a photo or a GIF. And 93% of Twitter's video views are on mobile. Video, mobile. We've seen the news game shift not only from the screens in our living rooms and from the newsstands, but it's now in the palm of our hands. And we're really focused on working with journalists and publishers to maximise that opportunity. And we've long held at Twitter the conversation as a second screen experience. We know that conversation has been dominated on Twitter for live experiences, but we wanted to bring that together. We wanted to converge content and conversation, which is why we've moved so heavily in the last 12 months into the live space. It started off with Thursday Night Football with the NFL, moved very quickly into news, covered the American election in a big way, massive partnerships with a whole bunch of people, including with Nike, as they were trying to crack the 2-hour marathon exclusively on Twitter. And we found this absolute, it's been incredibly exciting to see these two things come together. And I want to give you an example of why we think it's so powerful and the sort of audience that it gets. With the James Comey testimony in the US in June of this year, Bloomberg streamed that on Twitter. Now, the audience that got was 2.7 million unique views, which any TV executive, any news executive I know will be happy to get. We're going in and out again. And you can look at my screensaver for a moment. Here we go. 3.6 million tweets, so content and conversation. But here's the really interesting thing. 88% of that audience was under the age of 34. 88% of that audience were young and watching a political story on Bloomberg. It wasn't BuzzFeed, it wasn't Mashable. They were watching it on Twitter. And we're seeing that time and again, that this is where the audience is, and we know that everyone's really trying to work out how to talk to millennials and so-called cord cutters. So we've invested heavily in this space. We've announced 14 new live partnerships recently across news, sport and entertainment. And we're really excited about that, including with Bloomberg, a 24/7 news service, a new morning show with BuzzFeed, Cheddar, financial content. But that's not all of the story, because those sorts of partnerships are not for everybody. Those sorts of partnerships are, they're real, they're complex, if you like, and they're a particular thing. What we want to do at Twitter is we want to create the opportunity for anybody to be able to go live anywhere, whether it's from your mobile, whether it's from your camera or your broadcast feed or your mobile truck or in 360. So for example, when Vice had Justin Trudeau for an hour's conversation about marijuana law reform, they broadcast it on their channel, with two affiliated channels. They streamed it on Facebook, and they streamed it via Periscope Producer on Twitter. And that was where the conversation came. You had 173,000 viewers, which for Canada was a really amazing number, given that it's a much smaller population. 759,000 impressions, and it was the #1 trend. There was the content, there was the conversation, Trudeau took a question from Twitter, and there was the engagement. So that's the video piece, that's the live piece, that's reaching an audience wherever it is. But I also want to talk about revenue. For several years now, we've been having a lot of success with our Amplify program, which is premium content combined with a publisher, coming together, pre-roll ads in a sponsorship arrangement. We've got 300 Amplify partners around the world, 20 countries across the last 4 years or so, and we're having a lot of success with it. We had an Amplify program around the federal budget in India this year. Here's what it looked like. 6-second pre-roll. We've got a bit of an audio problem. Pre-roll ad, and then straight into the content, premium content. We're seeing this, we're having a lot of success with a number of different partners around there. But that's just the start of it. A bit like Premium Live and Periscope, we also want revenue opportunities for our partners, for publishers, and for advertisers to reach a wide audience in a much more frictionless way. An Amplify deal, again, it's a certain custom treatment. We're now getting to the point with our new product, in-stream pre-roll, where it's basically click-box monetization. Here's how it works. Publisher creates the content, uploads the video, tags it. There's 14 categories: news, sport, food, entertainment. They publish the video. At the same time, the advertisers create the campaign, choose the categories. They can choose up to 2, and then we serve the pre-roll ad. Away it goes. There's your pre-roll ad in front of the premium content. 6 seconds has been a really successful format for us, but it does vary, and then that revenue is served, and the advertiser gets an extraordinary access to audience and association with content, and the publisher's generating revenue. So we've talked about reach, we've talked about revenue, and I want to talk briefly about innovation. As I said, I think all of this is really an innovation mindset. It's all about what is it that we bring to the business of news and the business of storytelling that can recreate the way that we tell stories and reach an audience. So we've been looking, there's a lot of different facets to that, but product's a part of it, no doubt about it. So for example, around 360 video, we've been doing a lot of work with partners such as the New York Times, been doing 360 videos. For example, here they did a 360 of Emmanuel Macron's election there in Paris, really engaging content. And we think 360 is such an interesting new storytelling piece. We're finding really great applications with text, interactive. It's a really interesting space for us. For those of you who came to Rahil's and Jen's workshop yesterday, Moments they talked about, if you're not already using Moments, get amongst it. It's such a great and engaging storytelling format and capsule, both for publishers and for journalists. And we're also upgrading and refining Media Studio, so that can become a one-stop shop to both clip, to go live, to stream, and to monetize. So there's some of the things that we're doing. So that's how it all kind of fits together. Reach, revenue and innovation for us. And for me personally, when I look at, I guess, starting out in India as a radio reporter, discovering the power of digital transformation for storytelling and journalism, it kind of comes back to me about, well, what's the story? What's the story that we're trying to tell? How are we going to do this as a business over these next 10 years? And for example, when I was reporting here, here's how much it's changed. I'll give you an example. When I'd walk into a village, maybe in Rajasthan, they'd see a white guy with a camera and they'd assume I could be from only one place. They'd assume I was from the BBC. It could be the only media organisation I was from. So I explained I'm from Australia, from the ABC, but they didn't get that either because they thought if I was from Australia I could only be from one network, which was the Cricket Broadcast Network, which is Channel 9. But when we got through all that, then of course all anyone would talk about was Shane Warne. They're just as likely now to be tweeting Shane directly. And I think that represents to us the transformation that we're seeing. Let there be no doubt, this is in my mind the most exciting media and journalism market on the planet. I'm super excited about being here. We've had a lot of great relationship, amazing work by Rahil, who's been our news lead here in recent years. We want to build on that and take it to the next level. I'm really thrilled to be here. Thank you very much for your time. See you around.